Rare Gem Productions proudly presents Entrepreneurially Thinking. Entrepreneurially Thinking is a presentation of BioSTL and CET, the Center for Emerging Technologies, changing the way you view new ventures and activating your entrepreneurial mindset, empowering you to create new pathways for business success in the St. Louis marketplace and beyond. Here's your hosts, Cheryl and Christy. Now let's get thinking entrepreneurially.
Welcome back to the Entrepreneurially Thinking Podcast. I'm Christy Maxfield.
And I'm Dr. Cheryl Watkins-Moore. I lead our STEM inclusion initiative for BioSTL for our region. Hey, lady.
How are you?
I'm fine.
Excellent.
Season 9. I'm fine.
Season 9. We're recording our last couple of shows, which will air in a few weeks. And then heading right into season 10. We're on the cusp of spring, maybe going right to summer. Who the heck knows? It's St. Louis. Anything could happen.
Go from snow, wind, and ice and everything to it's like blossoming and 70 degrees and 80-mile-an-hour winds.
God bless us all. It's wonderful, she says with sarcasm and allergies. But we're always excited to be back on the air and excited that you're tuning in. And excited and thankful that our founding sponsors, CET and BioSTL, are able to continue their support. So make sure you check out what's going on. There's at least a whole spring worth of activities to catch up on at both organizations. Yep. And we want you to make sure you do that. We also ask that you help us spread the word. So make sure if you haven't already subscribed, do so and share us with the hashtags ETHINKSTL, eThink Podcast, stay listening. Give us a shout out to your favorite guests. Share it with your friends. Anywhere you can find your favorite podcast, you can find us. Mm-hmm. So what are we doing today? We're actually talking to somebody who could capture all this season change, right?
Purdy pictures.
Purdy pictures.
So, yes, we have a local man here who is taking photography to new heights, literally, everybody. City Museum, Keener Plaza, the Fox Theater, and Busch Stadium are just a few of the places that Justin Barr has captured. So what sets Justin apart from other photographers, you may ask? It's his perspective. Justin shoots from above, way above, with a drone. This is kind of cool, guys. I've seen some of his work, and it's really, really amazing. Justin captures all of those details that sit perched way above everybody else's eye. Only the birds can see it. You know, it is a drone's eye view. Our guest today is sure to spark our visual curiosity. So as we say, stay listening.
Purpose First Advisors is proud to support the Entrepreneurially Thinking podcast. Purpose First works with entrepreneurs and the organizations that support them to accelerate business formation, scaling, and transformational growth. For more information about how to work with Purpose First Advisors on business model validation, financial modeling, core messaging, or other growth and profitability strategies, visit purposefirstadvisors.com.
CET, the Center for Emerging Technologies, is a proud founding sponsor of this Entrepreneurially Thinking podcast. We want you to know all about the great things they are up to. Square One is CET's flagship program for entrepreneurs. It's a hands-on training program designed to provide support to first-time entrepreneurs in the St. Louis region actively engaged in the development of bioscience, information technology, or advanced manufacturing commercial enterprise. To learn more about Square One Bootcamp or Square One Ignite, visit CETSTL.com. And for your renewed and continuing support, CET, we say thank you.
Hi, I'm Justin Barr with STL From Above, and thinking entrepreneurially to me means finding something you love, figuring out how you can make a little living off of it, and having fun with it.
Joining us today is Justin Barr from STL Above. Justin studied graphic design at the University of Missouri St. Louis. He specializes in photography and videography, starting with family portraits, also moving on to wedding photography. I actually got to see him in action when I was at Shu's wedding. So all the equipment, all the skill, all the and the admonishment to let the professionals take the pictures, please.
And Shu is our recording engineer, everybody. So just so you know, he's the one that makes us sound
so good.
Yes.
Good.
Yes. So, yeah.
So back in 2017, Justin added this aerial photography, which is the fancy way of saying drones, to his repertoire. So Justin, tell us, how did you get started in this?
Well, It started back actually right before my daughter was born. She getting ready to turn 6. So the photography thing has been going for a while.
Were you a kid growing up taking pictures of great stuff? You know, always had a camera in your hand?
Not necessarily a kid, but I don't know, since probably high school and into college, I always had some type of camera with me. Obviously, when cell phones came out, now everybody's got a camera.
I was going to say, you were doing the throwaway cameras or real cameras?
Right. But at the suggestion of a friend, I bought a decent camera right before my daughter was born. Started practicing with that. Took some pictures of her, when she was born. And we went to an outing, kind of a barbecue. And I took some pictures there and, the kids all playing and everything. And someone messaged me on Facebook and was like, I really like those pictures. Could you do pictures of my family? And I'm like, oh, sure. I was like, I'll pay you to do it. And I'm like, even better. So, it started with that family, a couple more. Then I started doing, family portraits, and someone asked me to do a wedding. I'd never done a wedding before. So I'm like, great, now I get to figure this out. Samantha Iverson with Mirage Photo out in St. Charles was gracious enough to let me tag along on a wedding just to kind of shadow them and see how things go. And she's like, if you don't mind, send me the photos and we'll take a look. And if we like them, we'll use them. And so I sent the photos over, and, the day went well, and sent the photos to her, and get a phone call about a week later. She said, finally had a chance to sit down and look at your pictures. Thought you said you never done weddings before. I said, well, I haven't, but I've done pictures for a while. So it's kind of, especially since I was kind of following along, I was just doing like the candid stuff. So she goes, your photos look awesome. Would you want to shoot?
Were you nervous when she first called and said, I thought you didn't do weddings before? Were you thinking like, oh crap?
Yeah.
What's wrong with this?
I was like, oh, I messed up really bad. But yeah, she asked me, if they could sort of bring me on as an as needed photographer. So, I shoot a lot of weddings with them, help them out, or if they're super busy, I'll take a wedding and shoot the whole thing myself. So it's worked out really well, and I've been really thankful that they gave me that opportunity to shoot with them. And with all the wedding stuff, kind of trying to do things differently, because here in town you get all of the
go to the park.
The typical Forest Park places. And I was like, how can we do this differently? So I bought a drone. I figured out how to use it. I found out
without it crashing.
Yeah. Thankfully, I haven't crashed it, but I found out I had to get a license from the FAA to be able to do it commercially and all this. So I'm like, I'm going to do it by I'm going to go by the rules. I don't need anybody coming after me. So got my license and everything to do the wedding stuff. And, we started with wedding photos, and I guess it was 2017. It was kind of a slow season. I wasn't doing a whole lot of weddings with them, and I was like, well, I got this new drone, and now it's sitting around. So took my daughter, and we'd go around town, and I'd show her different stuff around town, and fly the drone, take some pictures, and just post them on Facebook and stuff like that. And people were like, hey, you should put these on Instagram. Instagram's a little more inducive for photos. Right? Yeah. So I'm like, well, I get to figure this out. So, I, made an Instagram account, and I remember it was Father's Day in 2017 that I made the account. We went out for Father's Day, and I had my drone with me and took some pictures, and made the STL from Above account and posted a few pictures on there. And I was shocked at how quickly
star was born.
Well, I'm not a star. I'm just a dork with a drone, but. It was crazy how quickly people, like, I don't know if welcomed is the right word, but, reacted to the photos.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially on that platform, right? Where they're looking for visually beautiful content there.
Yeah. And, seeing all these different landmarks around town, from above, just kind of changes the perspective, and, you can see stuff that you can't normally see from the street. So it kind of snowballed from there. I mean, I started doing places around town. People were suggesting, hey, try this place, do this place. And I did some pictures of St. Xavier on SLU campus. Just kind of like across the street, just put the drone up, took some pictures, and someone from SLU contacted me. This was kind of like my first, for hire drone job was from SLU. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this humongous university is now contacting me to do drone pictures. Now I got to get.
And how did they find you? They just found your pictures on Instagram?
Yeah. Just
cool.
Tagged them on Instagram. I always thought this whole hashtag thing with Instagram was silly. And I was like, This is like a kid's thing.
My friend.
No, I quickly learned that it's
because somebody's watching that hashtag, wants to know where it shows up, and so they found you quick.
So tag SLU, hashtag St. Louis University, blah blah blah, and they contacted me and they said, "Hey, we saw the picture of St. Xavier. Can we hire you to do campus pictures?"
That's
I'm
awesome.
like, sure. So I met the girl there, and she had a golf cart, and she's taking me around the campus in a golf cart.
She's serious. We're gonna work with you.
Yeah.
So it sounds like a couple things, like perspective. It sounds like you actually underestimate the eye you have, right? That your ability to get the perspective, and now you're doing it from above.
Right.
It would seem to me that just as much talent is required to get a good picture, whether you're standing in front of somebody with a standard digital camera, as you are if you're flying around at whatever height you can get at. I don't know.
I can go up to 400 feet.
400
legally.
feet. So at 400 feet, you could just keep clicking what would that be called? The shutter?
Yeah.
So
right?
can
But it
you
seems
see
like
it?
you also have to you also have to frame it, right? And because not
Right.
everybody's aerial photos are going to be gorgeous.
Right.
Not everybody's photo with the freaking camera in front of your face.
No, I'm
is
just
gonna be
saying what we've
gorgeous.
already established, bona fide third-party validation from the wedding photographer, like you got some skills.
Yes.
And then you take those 400 feet up and you still got some skills. That's pretty impressive.
And actually, I don't really go up 400 feet that often. I try to focus on a building.
Yeah.
So I try to have, like when I did the church, it was mainly the church. I mean, you could see other buildings, but it was primarily the church.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people will get the drones and they'll go up to 400 feet because, hey, I can go up to 400 feet. And they'll take these big, expansive shots of the city. And I mean, they're cool, but it's kind
it
of...
means nothing. It doesn't...
It's kind of like a Google Earth shot, it's just, or Google Maps or whatever. Just a big wide shot. So I try to get close up to where you can see the building, you can see details on it. Most of the buildings, especially with the old buildings here in town, they've got ornamental stuff up at the top.
Stuff.
And you can't see it from the street.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I try to get these shots that are up high. I usually stay below the top of the building just because the top of the building has air conditioners. Stuff you don't want to see on there.
See, I wouldn't know that. I would be taking pictures of ugly stuff.
So it's a bit about framing and planning the shots. I do use Google Earth to
prepare.
To get an idea of where I can get the shot from. I just did a picture of the old Southwestern Bell building downtown, that weird stair step building, and I used Google Earth to figure out where I could park to just put the drone basically like overhead and get the shot, because there's so many apartments and stuff. I don't want to like put it up and have to fly around the back of the building. Like, you're supposed to keep it within line of sight.
Yeah.
So, it has to be, you have to be somewhere close to it. So I use that and just zip around in Google Earth to figure out the best angle.
So you are flying the drone. You're able to see the actual perspective through the drone's lens, right? So that's pretty interesting. You're flying and snapping pictures and not crashing.
Right.
That is,
It's interesting because neither you or I could do it. That's way too many things all at once for us. We're mere mortals.
That's very cool.
What I also found interesting, though, is that, again, being very humble, you said, oh, I get to figure that out. Oh, now I get to figure that out. That's a really interesting perspective from, if you think about it from that entrepreneurial mindset,
Curiosity.
right? It could have been like, oh, great. Now I got to figure this out. Right. and stopped you. Right.
Right.
Because again, in this day and age, even with really cute, super cute babies, and I'm going to assume your daughter is on the super, super cute end, right? The idea that you go out and buy a camera versus use the cell phone is a level of commitment and curiosity right then and there. Like,
and the level that you have to go and get an FAA license is
right.
another.
I mean, each step of the way, like, oh, can I shadow you to go to a wedding? Oh, can I figure out how to get this FAA thing, right? And I just, I think for you, it might come off as second nature. Like, these are just really interesting opportunities to learn. And what I hear when you say that is your mindset, your perspective, not just as it comes through in your photos, but in the way your brain is approaching the world, is one of such curiosity that it's the kind of lesson you can't teach, right? Like, you're either going to see the world as a series of challenges and struggles, or you're going to see the world as a series of opportunities and doors opening. And you see doors opening. That's really exciting.
Yeah, it's a lot of figuring stuff out, especially with everything, like the drone stuff being kind of, I don't know if it's really cutting edge at this point, but a couple of years ago, there really wasn't anybody in town doing, a whole lot of drone things. So it was kind of figuring things out. And, going back to even when I was a kid, I was the one that would take my toys apart to figure out how they work. So
there we go.
Yeah, I always was tinkering with stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
You're the engineer
mindset.
Yes.
Right.
Are you an engineer by training?
I'm not. No, I went to school for graphic design.
That's right. I said that at the beginning of the show. I should read my own notes.
Yeah. So I mean, you know, it's kind of weird. Just that I went to school for graphic design. I'm now doing kind of photography stuff, and but I've always been a tinkerer. And actually, a neighbor of mine teaches at North County Technical High School, and I didn't even know like technical high schools existed. And I'm like, well, I like to work with my hands. I was like, if I had known, that could have been a different course to take. That trades are more so than having to go to college to do something. If you like working with your hands, there's other things out there. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of taking all of the hobbies that I like, working on things and figuring things out, and taking pictures. Yeah,
it's a passion that you have.
A little bit of everything.
I'm really interested, maybe when we come back, you talk about taking pictures of building and architecture. How do you take pictures of people from a drone standpoint? How does that work? Because you can't go up 400 feet taking pictures.
Just don't look that good from 400 feet.
Right. So maybe you can talk to us about, how does that work? From going from buildings to people, how do you get the interesting perspective there?
Yeah.
When we come back.
BioSTL is a proud founding sponsor of the Entrepreneurially Thinking podcast. We want you to know about all the great things they are up to, including the BioSTL STEM Entrepreneur Inclusion Initiative, which strengthens the region's bioscience ecosystem by identifying high-potential, talented women and minority STEM entrepreneurs and providing a systematic pathway for them to create viable, high-growth ventures. You can learn more about all of BioSTL's programs by visiting biostl.org. And for your renewed and continuing support, BioSTL, we say thank you.
Hi, my name is Antoinette Carroll. I'm the founder, president, and CEO of Creative Reaction Lab. And to me, entrepreneurially thinking is when you use your power of design to design better outcomes for everyone in your community so that we all have better lives going forward.
So, Justin, one of the things that Cheryl has probed into a little bit more is like how you actually take great photography, particularly people, from above. And I know that you met Shu because you guys all connected, well, from his other sideline, STL Trike, right? Trike STL. I've got to get it right. Trike STL. But also in the fact that, he was looking for a unique perspective on his wedding, and he saw your stuff on Instagram and was like, that's the perspective I'm looking for. So what does it mean to take, I'm fascinated by the Google Earth and being able to know the right perspective and don't take a shot of the ugly stuff and get all the cool stuff. What's the optimal height for a photograph of a person from above? Because I've got some good stuff and some bad stuff and some air conditioners, so to speak, that don't need to be photographed. I'm just saying. What does that look like?
Well, for people, it's a little bit trickier, like for one person.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get a shot from, looking down at them or whatever. But for wedding stuff, it's usually like the bridal party.
So we need a group.
Like a group of people will look good. Because the camera's got a pretty wide angle, so you really have to be like up on somebody to get like a portrait of them. So a group shot usually works best. So
so senior photos are out. Okay.
Says the mom's shopping for said item.
We could probably figure something out. But I mean, typically for wedding photos, it's more of going back to, getting the building and the shot. Like a friend of mine had a wedding and she asked if I could come do a picture down at the World's Fair Pavilion. And it was the wedding party out in front, on the hillside of it.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot to see as well as the party.
Yeah. So they kind of, did their thing and I got the pavilion in the background and different spots like that. You kind of incorporate the area instead of just a group. Yeah. You get kind of the whole scene that's going on there.
So we could do a flash mob with Tyler for his senior photos.
Okay.
All right. I tried. You had also mentioned tinkering. So, one of the things Cheryl loves to do is ask folks like, where did you grow up? And but clearly as a kid, you were tinkering. And so that's been a theme throughout. You may not have always had a camera in your hand, but you're always taking things apart and putting them back together.
So are you homegrown from Missouri?
Yep. Yep. Grew up in North County, up in Hazelwood. Yep.
Okay. Tell us a little bit about that North County. You grew up with siblings, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you took their stuff apart?
There's stuff I didn't take apart unless it was broken. You know, this doesn't work. Figure out what's wrong with it. And I'll take it apart.
Oh, cool.
You were the good brother.
Yeah. Well,
As opposed to the quietly disassembling it while you sleep, brother.
Right. Yeah. Oh, wow.
So that tinkering, that means that you've also fallen into drone racing as well as drone photography.
Right. Yeah. I started with the racing. My wife had gotten me, which I'm sure she curses it every day. She bought me just kind of a normal drone. You know, it had a camera on it, but it wasn't like the big fancy one. It was just a normal drone. And I started flying that. And I was like, this thing's awesome. And started doing a little research, found out there's drone racing in town. And
wow.
The way that works is typically everybody builds their own drones. They buy all the motors and the controllers and all this stuff and put it together. And
you all go down on the landing and like, run the drones on the landing.
Like racing cars for the girls?
Exactly.
Almost on landing. We actually had, we have these little bitty drones that you can fly inside, and we race down at Ballpark Village and the different restaurants down there. So,
wow.
Yeah. So, again, with the tinkering, building drones, I was just working on one last night, a new one that I've got. So, building those drones, I was racing them and flying them, and I was like, maybe I could take pictures with these. And the racing ones, you have to be moving and harder to control, so you can't get a real good, steady still shot.
Right.
So then that's when I looked into, the first photography drone I got, because you can put it up and it's real steady and the camera is stabilized and everything.
Did you build it or it comes already assembled?
The photography one comes already assembled.
Okay.
Yeah, because it's got like GPS in it and all this crazy
It's
stuff.
a fine-tuned machine.
Okay, yes.
It's got a lot of stuff in there. But always been tinkering, and now the tinkering of drones has turned into this photography.
That's
stuff.
very cool.
So,
And this is a sideline for you right now, right? You have a day job?
yeah, have a normal day job. If I didn't have kids, I would probably jump into this with both feet. But I apparently have to feed your kids.
I was going to say, yeah. Usually the state likes it, take care of your children.
At least with
right?
some consistency.
Right.
Yeah. So, with having the normal job, obviously pay the bills and all that. But the drone work is kind of nice because a lot of people want like the sunset photos that I've been doing.
Yeah.
So if they, have me come out, hey, I want you to do a picture of this building or whatever, I'll get it at the end of the day when the light's nice and kind of low, and I can go after work and do it. Or if there's an event on the weekend or in the evenings, I've been hired by the Arch Park downtown when they have the events in like Keener Plaza.
Yeah.
And just go down there after work and do some pictures.
Okay.
So it works out pretty well that I can balance both of them. I mean, really, there hasn't been many jobs come up during the day. Everything's kind of been in the evening. Events, people have events when they need photos, and they're not going to schedule an event from people's at work. So
are you looking at maybe this could be a potential full-time thing? Are you building it that way, or still at the hobby level and you just enjoy
Depends
doing
on if
this?
my boss is listening.
No. Fair enough. We won't ask you any incriminating questions.
Because he's asked me the same thing. He's like, you're going to let me know when you go do this full time, right?
You have 12,000 followers on Instagram. So I think that, it's a legit question.
Yes.
Well, and, as much as I say I would like to do it full time, it has like that stress.
Right.
That I like doing it right now. But if I had to do it to pay my mortgage, I don't know if I would like doing it. It's kind of a side thing. It's fun. I like doing it. I have friends that are full-time photographers. In the winter, they have to do
lean and mean.
They have to do a ton of work in the summer and fall, and then budget over the winter to make it stretch. And
you haven't shut it out, but you're doing what you love.
So do you self-identify as an entrepreneur?
I think so.
That's awesome.
It's kind
of a lot of people we talk to don't. Ironically enough, on Entrepreneurially Thinking, there are a whole bunch of people who are like, I'm not an entrepreneur, right?
Yeah. So, from kind of falling into this, it's sort of become an entrepreneurial endeavor.
Yeah.
I didn't set out to do this.
Entrepreneurship comes at different levels. There are people who want to do it full blown, because some people don't like the business side of it. They just want to pursue the art form, like what you're doing. They don't want to get up and having to do taxes and all of the other.
He might have to do that stuff, but he just doesn't want to have to worry about the mortgage
on a full time basis, right?
Yeah. I mean, I pay taxes.
I was going to say
taxes.
he pays taxes.
I didn't go there with taxes,
but
we don't want the feds tapping in
there.
there.
It's all good.
There's a lot, if it were to go full time, there's a lot of non-drone related that has to happen. Like I'm trying to get things situated with the FAA to help do a video for the arch.
That's cool.
But the whole arch grounds are no fly zone. And because, national parks you can't fly in, but also because of that sightseeing helicopter that's right down there, they kind of have that whole area marked off that you can't fly down there because they kind of zip all over the place.
Oh, okay.
So I'm trying to figure out how to get permission from the FAA to fly. We've already got the okay from the park to fly in the park, but
because they want the photos.
Right, exactly. So it's been going on for a couple months now. We talked to the FAA about this and have to send in all these paperwork. So it is a lot of work, and that's kind of the not fun part that I was talking about.
Right.
But you do have 12,000 followers. So as you think about what this side gig, this sideline is doing for you, do you see other ways to capitalize on your notoriety?
Capitalize on it? I'm not sure.
Maybe that's not even the right word, but that's the work you do is beautiful, right? And there's no reason you couldn't be doing it full time if you really wanted to. Just curious. We think big. We're but I think what I really like also about your story is that we also always talk about the fact that not everybody quits their day job.
No.
Yeah.
And you follow your passion. You do what you want to do. So, yeah.
And I think having the day job income, basically, it kind of frees me up to do more free work.
Yep.
Not that I'm saying, I'm going to do everything for free. But, if there's an event, I go do some pictures of it or whatever, and somebody wants to use it or whatever, I sure go for it. Just tag me in it or whatever.
Have you been asked to travel outside of Missouri to do, photography with your drone?
Yeah, actually, I went up to Chicago back in September to do some pictures. It was a company that I think they do drywall work. They remodel buildings. So it was outside pictures of different buildings that they had remodeled the interior of. So it went everywhere from like South Shore up to I think Northwestern University. That
is my alma mater.
Oh, okay.
And I love it's beautiful with the lake up there.
Yeah, they redid one of the dorms. It was right on the lake. So I got some shots of that. So
very cool. So what's your favorite location that you've done photography at?
Well, I don't know. There's so many things to see that Busch Stadium always looks good. I got a huge response from the shot I did of the top of the courts building. There's two sphinxes up at the very top of the courts building. Yeah. Another, I don't know her last name, Emily. She does drone stuff. She did a picture of the Sphinx originally. I saw it and I was like, that's amazing. She had a drone and she had asked me a few questions about drone stuff. So, I followed her on Instagram and I saw her shot and I was like, that's awesome. I'd never seen it and I didn't ever have my drone close enough to it to see it. But I saw her photo and I was like, well, I'm down here. I'll get a shot of it. And, I took a shot of it. And of course, I tagged her and I gave her credit as the inspiration. But it got a huge response. And
that's cool.
I didn't think really it would get a whole lot of reaction because it was just the top of a building, but nobody had seen it. So there again, it's that whole angle of people not being able to see.
It's a bird's eye view. Like you said, most people are street view trying to not to kill themselves walking across the street or driving. Right. So you never know the Sphinx.
And perspective is everything. I mean, having your graphic design background obviously gives you an eye, right? But the perspective, our worlds are fairly myopic. Because we're busy people, right? And we're doing busy things. And so you literally bring a different perspective to the things that are around us every day. I was in that building on Monday.
I was going to say, you make people say, you're yelling at people, look up.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things out here. Look up. Get out of your phones.
And I had a lot of people comment. They said, I worked in that building for 5 years. I didn't know those were up there on the roof because you don't see them from the ground.
No.
So, and what you shared about getting invited to Chicago also says to me that there are potential clients that you might not even identify in a typical, I think if we were to sit down and do a traditional business model canvas, the wedding stuff would come up and the architecture stuff would come up, but the guys who drywall and do renovation stuff probably wouldn't come up in that conversation, right?
Exactly.
And that's what I think is interesting. And maybe what I meant when I said, how would you capitalize on 12,000 folks on Instagram, is that there's just so many things that might actually turn what has been a seasonal profession for most people into a round the calendar profession for others, because it's so widely applicable in ways that people just wouldn't even think of, right?
I was just thinking of the Bureau of Convention, for them to be able to capture the city and at a bird's eye view. I mean, if I were part of the city or the Bureau of Conventions or whatever, that would be, to me, something very appealing that you can demonstrate, hey, come here, bring your business here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I, it's all different kinds of stuff that come up. I had an email come through back, I guess, beginning of November. Someone from the mayor's office emailed me to ask if they could use one of my photos for her Christmas card. And I was completely blown away by that. Like I didn't.
Again, nothing I had ever thought of before.
Yeah.
I love that. That's
and,
so cool.
Here I am flying a drone around downtown. I'm thinking, okay, I'm trying my best not to make anybody mad. The police, I've talked to police officers and they've never once have shown a concern that, worried about people. But I didn't know I was like the mayor was seeing my stuff.
Hey,
so
Christmas card.
Yeah. So she used one of my photos and I was completely floored that she wanted to use my photos. So.
Well, that's awesome. Well, we really appreciate you making time to come talk with us today, because we love to highlight folks too who are doing things that kind of happen organically, and yours happened really organically,
100%,
right?
Yep.
Yeah. And also just to see, as you are quite the humble person, which I love in you, but I'm also like, damn, we could strategize around this.
Oh
right?
my God.
It brings out that tendency in me. So sorry if we take it to places you weren't planning to go. But I think also just lets our listeners think about too that you could never have predicted, right? Where many of the gigs that you have gotten out of pursuing this thing that was
with your daughter,
another thing to go learn, right?
With your daughter,
and then being open to all those possibilities means that there are opportunities you can't even imagine yet. So I appreciate that reminder.
Yes.
Look up, see the opportunity to learn something new and be open to the fact that you might be reaching and touching people that you can never anticipate. I think those are 3 good lessons for us to leave listeners with.
I think so. And you are doing it. You are doing it, Justin. I
think
you're doing a great job.
We might see Tyler Moore featured in his senior photos from STL.
I'm thinking we might be doing some other things too.
All right. So, Justin, if somebody does want to find out more about you, book you for a gig, follow you on your social medias, where do they find you?
Instagram, Facebook, STL from above. Same on both of them.
STL from above, people. Go find it, like it, follow it, get involved.
Look up.
Thanks so much, Justin.
Thank you, Justin. Take care.
Changing the way you view new ventures, unlocking your creativity and innovation, igniting your thinking about entrepreneurship. It's Entrepreneurially Thinking. Get connected and discover more. Visit entrepreneuriallythinking.com to listen to all your favorite episodes and learn more about our guests, hosts, and sponsors. Feeling inspired? Be sure to share your thoughts, questions, and stories in the comments section. And don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts. The best way to show love is to share and subscribe. Let everybody know that you're entrepreneurially thinking.